And as we noted in the email that went out yesterday with what should have been a corrected schedule, sorry, we are not going to be discussing the virtual classroom tool because that's not enabled. And I'm not sure whether it will be or not. I'm not sure if that's a local decision or a wider one. But basically, the tool that is available on Brightspace, when we wrote the descriptions up, we did not know what would be available. And in fact, we put it all together before we even had access to Brightspace. We were hopeful, or we were expecting it to be there. But there's two versions of Bongo. There's a very basic one, which only allows really short interactions and is limited in the number of students that can participate. And many of our classes would be too large to use that anyway. And many of the useful features require a premium version, which in any case, SUNY has not subscribed to. So the best way of connecting with your whole class virtually, should you have to be canceled, remains being as Zoom. So we have Zoom integration set up in Brightspace, so you can use that very much like you did in Blackboard, and it's a much more powerful and flexible tool anyway. So we're really not going to be missing much by not doing that. So what we wanted to talk about today are the virtual notes. Are the video notes. And just a very simple thing we can note is there's two ways of doing this. One is you could record it live right in the platform, which is what we're going to focus on. Or you could record and edit it and clean it up and make it all nice and pretty and so forth, and then upload it and then embed it. We're going to focus on the simpler thing. And one thing we won't be able to do, though, is we won't be able to record the video aspect of it. We'll only have audio because I wasn't thinking about this. We only have the one video camera here, and therefore we can only have it attached to one thing. Although we might be able to disable it. Yeah, we can probably disable it from Zoom when we actually demonstrate that.
We can try that out.
So the purpose of this tool basically is to create short notes. If you want to create video instructions or other materials that you're going to use in multiple semesters, you want to create the videos separately because they will not port over when you do a course copy. So basically, the best use for the video notes feature is if you want to give some quick and easy feedback to students. I know some faculty, I'm not sure if anyone here is doing that regularly, but I know some faculty at other campuses who, when they provide students with feedback on their assignments, papers, and so forth, find it's quicker for them to do that using video because they can have as part of the video, they just work through it. And the advantage of video notes for that purpose is you get to hear tone. When we provide students with feedback, there's a bias, and it's true with all of us. When we read things that are written, it's easier to misperceive the intent of the message, and the bias tends to be negative. We're more likely to misperceive comments that are neutral as being negative than we are to misperceive things as being more positive than they're intended to be. Video notes help remove that ambiguity, and they also can provide much more of a sense of instructor presence in the course. And if you're teaching online or in some type of a high flex or hybrid environment, that type of presence is really helpful.
And I will note that I was just actually talking a couple of weeks back with Nick Sard in the biology department, and he does use video notes to talk about, feedback for his students' written work. So anyways, I'm sure that if anyone has any questions, just about that process in general, he probably would be happy to reach to talk with you more on that.
So, and we did actually on a podcast a couple of years ago talk to someone at SUNY Buffalo who was doing that with a class of over 100 students.
Oh, wow.
And she was taking about 2 minutes per video feedback. They were short documents. We're going to share our screen and we'll just go through the basic process.
Yeah, it's good to know that scales too, because, I think it could be, an easier option for larger classes when, written feedback can be quite time consuming.
So we're going to go here and just create a document. And the basic tool is available in the text editor. This is an empty course shell for my fall class. And we're just going to create a document here. I think this is the HTML file. And we'll just drag it over. We're going to create it and we'll call this sample. There we go. So it's a sample in the sample folder. And now we're going to go in and the content to actually edit it. What did I do? Oh, there it is. So this, oh, I didn't mean to put a quiz in. Sorry. Well, I guess we could do it as a quiz. So let's do it. Any item where you can use the editor to edit content, you can add a video note. So we'll do this as instructions, video instructions on the quiz. So we are going to, ability to edit, it's really limited here. Let's get rid of that. Because you would do that with a quiz builder and we'll get rid of that. Sorry.
Yeah, I forgot that was the case for quizzes. The editing is much better in the quiz menu for.
Well, we could go into the quiz tool, but that just adds one level of complexity. And let me actually grab the right thing this time.
I think it's the globe.
Yeah, the globe, because it's a World Wide Web HTML file. So here we go. So it's a sample document, an HTML file. And we'll call this just sample. We'll call it this really ugly name because we're going to delete it later anyway. So now we're going to go in, we're going to go back to content to edit it. And we're going to, there we go. It's a web page. And we're going to edit the HTML.
So anytime you want to, edit the text, edit HTML is the option you want to look for.
And it's the same editor for all the tools.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to take over.
Sure. So, there's, we've kind of gone through this editor before. There's lots of, options there. So to create a video, you want to go to the insert stuff, right? So there's so many options here. You can embed things, you can upload things. We want to go to add video notes.
And if you already have saved one, if you're using the same video introduction in multiple files, for example, you could just search for ones you've already uploaded because they're all searchable and so forth. You could also grab something from YouTube if you posted it out there. Yeah. So we are going to go to add video notes and we're going to record a webcam video. But before we do that, we're going to go back here and we're going to turn off the video here so we can attach it to that. That should work. To realize this, we have to provide access within the browser. So we want to move this to access the camera. Do that. Back. One more time. I'm not sure why it's not allowing us. There we go. Okay. Hi. So we will start the recording.
I think you scroll down.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see it's capped at 30 seconds. So we're just making a brief recording here.
30 minutes.
Oh, 30 minutes. Okay. Sorry. I guess originally I was like 30 seconds doesn't seem like a very long time, but 30 minutes is actually, a very long time, but, so whatever note, if this is an introduction, I think this is our sample introduction. So hello, I'm Maggie. This is John. We're sampling our video notes. And once we're finished recording and we're happy with what we've got, we just click our stop recording.
Which we shall do now.
Which we will do now. It's going to play it back for us.
So you get to check it to see if it's okay. If you don't like it, you can do a new recording, but we're just going to upload that And we can put in a title for this, and this is, we'll call it again, sample. And this is a welcome message to this workshop. And the audio language is unknown, but we can pretend everything was in, well, yeah, we should probably go to English. I was going to go to Klingon or something, but we'll go English US, and then we will click on, there's one more thing below here. We could automatically generate captions from the audio, which is a nice built-in feature.
Let's do it.
There we go. So that's all you have to do, basically.
So it'll take a minute to process and render, but then you'll be able to insert it once it's available.
I think you can insert it now, actually, and then you can see it later.
Okay.
So that video is now, it's just saying it's being processed, but it will appear here once everything is loaded. And that's really all you have to do. And you can do that anywhere where you have access to the editor. You could use it in announcements. You can use it in emails to the class or individual students. You can do it when you're providing feedback or annotations on student work. And it's just a really handy tool. One aspect that's really important to remember, though, is anything you create with these videos within the course are lost when you copy the course, because of the size of videos, that doesn't carry over. And so the main purpose of this is to create quick notes, feedback, provide some presence, and so forth. So we can turn the camera back on and open it to questions. That's really all we wanted to show. And once the video is ready, it should appear here as just embedded. Right there we go. So when it opened by students, this is what they would see. So, and again, if you choose to, you have the option of creating it, cleaning it up, and you can create it in Panopto. You could even do on both Macs and Windows. There are keyboard combinations that will do a quick screen recording. And it's a great way to demonstrate how to do something. You could do a screen recording where you're demonstrating how to run a software program, how to access some tool that's outside of the course. Or, if you're finding that students are having problems with some type of thing, you can just do a quick overview of that process, record it, upload it, and share it with them.
What do you think? Yeah, go for it, Dennis.
Jamie Herron said you can also you can edit your closed caption after the fact. Don't ask me how to do it, but that's a good thing. But I have just comments more too. So it has to be in an HTML editor. So that before I thought it was the document gets locked. So I'm more interested in giving feedback on papers that are longer than a screen shot. So just keep. I said this 4 times probably. I'm sorry for that, but just somebody get somebody's ear and say, make that better. Make it so that we can scroll through a document and not have to have like 3 monitors and all sorts of things. Just let's make it better, because with me it's my hand. I lost a lot of feeling in my hand last year because I'm like commenting on student papers. I could do it. I could do less. I can't hear you though, John. If you're talking, I'm done. I'm done with my rant.
Okay. Okay. So what you do basically is, in the annotation option, we don't have any documents here we can annotate, but when students submit a file or a video or anything else, you can embed feedback in there as a video note. So as you're scrolling through I don't think it does screen recording. You'd have to use Panopto or some other tool to do that. But you could do that and upload the video as feedback, but that's an extra step. If you just want to provide feedback, say in a student paper or in something that students submitted, you just go to that point in the video, in the annotation option, when you're providing them with feedback, and you can do a video note right there, and it would be embedded as part of the feedback at that point in the document. At least that's my understanding. Since I haven't used that tool yet, it should be available because you have all the editing tools for everything that you're doing. So I think it will work.
I was just told that the document freezes when you do a video recording. That's why I was like, well, that's not helpful.
Well, it will freeze at that note. So you could leave short.
Okay, multiple videos. Yeah. Okay. That because it doesn't have to be long.
And in fact, it's better not to make it long because then it's more work for us. And also students are less likely to pay attention if you give really extended feedback in various places.
I did one more rant though, because we're doing all this video because of the, the kind of visual culture, and now they have to be shorter.
Well, yeah.
I'm joking.
But
thank you.
But short makes it easier. I often teach classes with a lot of students, so shorter videos are really beneficial if you're using them for feedback. Casey?
John, I haven't played with it yet. I'm just curious if I saw that you can upload a video. I saw that you can use a webcam. Does it take any other input like Zoom does in terms of if you wanted to use a tablet and do a written component?
It should work exactly the same way. Well, let me rephrase that. If you're using a tablet,
It's something to play with, I guess. We'll get into it, but
what you could always do is you could use a document camera and write notes on it. And that would be a video that would be recorded. In other words, a video source could be anything that's doing video capture. I'm not sure if, for example, you could use a screen recording from, say, an iPad or something as an input device.
yeah, I know in Zoom you can select a wired iPad or tablet as an input device.
Yeah.
And it may not. There's backdoors to do it.
Well, it might work. I know that with the last two releases of macOS, with the current release and the one that's coming, you do have more options to use cameras or iPhones and iPads as input devices, at least for photos. I'm not sure if you can use it as a video input, So that's something that you'd have to experiment with, but you could always do a recording on a device, upload the video, and then post that. It's those extra steps, though, make the tool just a little bit less useful. But certainly with a dock camera, you could have something right on the side, draw something, and then use that as your video input while you're talking over it. And that would be a good way of, if you want to grade student papers, for example, that are submitted on paper, you could use that as a source of feedback. But yeah, this is still pretty new for all of us, so we haven't explored all the options. So,
Well, let us know
that's
what
fine.
you
I just
have.
I have a quick question. So video notes are for us. Can students make a video note in the class or no?
in fact, you can set up the submissions for assignments to be video or audio, and you have a wide range of choices, and you can choose how to do that. So if you give students basically the equivalent of a Dropbox, you could set it up to do that. And actually Maggie was setting up something, or was working on setting up something where students could save videos and you could respond to them with videos and so forth. You want to?
Yeah, so there is an option for a video assignment where, if you, so instead of like a typical like submission drop that you'd create for like a paper or something like that, you could just have that same video window where you would add a response, and you could give students a prompt and they would respond to it in that way. So there is a way where you can do video assignments. I don't know what that necessarily looks like on the student's end. Like I can get a sort of idea, but it would take a little bit of practice to see how it works for them. So it wouldn't be something I would necessarily do as a graded activity just yet, just because I would want to, make sure I worked out all of the kinks before I moved on. But, really any assignment that you submit has the option or has that text editor menu. So you can go to you can give direct students to insert stuff and create a video note. in that way too. So,
So we can work through it. I just created an assignment, which was just an assignment, just a blank one, but we should be able to go over content now and edit it and set it up to do that. Again, we haven't actually tried this in well, the setup, I think, is where, oh, I just entered it. I didn't edit it. Oh, you know, when you do it that way, it doesn't work so well. You're always best off going to course admin. If you want to create an assignment, going to the assignment tool directly. And let's try that again, and we'll edit it from here. So we're going to edit the assignment within the tool. You can't do it from the content in particular.
so again, students can go to that insert stuff and make a video note if you wanted them to do that. There's also, you know, file restrictions. So when you ask students to submit something, you can require them to only submit images or videos, right? And so it will limit their ability to submit other types of.
And you could do
types of
custom
files.
file types where you limit it to .mp4s or whatever format you want to restrict it to, or just in general, image and videos. And then you can do all the other settings, and then they basically all be posting or responding with videos. And the same video option is available in the discussion forum. So you'd have to ask students to upload a video for the discussions, but you could encourage the use of videos as discussions, and you could start each of your discussions if you want by providing a video recording or an audio recording and so forth. So, you know, it's not quite at the same level as Flipgrid or VoiceThread, but you could do some of the same types of things with a little bit more work on students' part.
And so if you go to course activities, another way.
Oh, the
you
video
can get
assignment,
it
I'm
is-
sorry.
Well, so you can have them respond with a video in a typical assignment. So there's really a lot of ways you can go about asking them to record a video. If you create a video assignment, this is the only option they're going to get. So you can,
Sorry about that.
no, it is a, you know, a way to do it. So, you know, of course, you know, you can add a video here, right? So you can create an interactive, except that's only available in the premium.
So that is not available
So
in
maybe
our
it's not
version.
available.
So we do not have that
Yeah.
option unless you use the other tool. And
Okay.
that's okay.
So that's, okay, yeah, so you can use the typical assignment tool for that.
Yeah,
So-
the full videos, I forgot that. The full
Yeah,
videos, and that's why I didn't.
I forgot that too, I forgot that. was
So the
gonna be
full video assignment tool is not available unless SUNY pays a lot more for the upgraded version of Bongo.
Which would be nice, but, you know.
But on the other
We gotta
hand,
work with what we have.
Flipgrid is free.
Yeah.
And it's a really powerful and easy to use tool, and there's a mobile app. So if you do want to have
Mhm.
students submit videos as an assignment or
Yeah.
as a
And
discussion.
I'm doing that in my class now. I could bring it up if you. I can bring it up now so I can show you what that looks like. Share the screen here. So this is my Women in Crime class. And so I've got quite a few modules set up. We'll just go to course introduction right now. Actually, no, I want to go to module 1.1 because that's where my first Flipgrid is. So I have Flipgrid just embedded directly into here. Okay, I guess there's an error message at the moment, but
We'll get all the bugs out.
Yeah, there's
This doesn't start until next week, so there's
Yeah,
plenty of time.
there's time to figure this out. You know, I do in the course introduction module, you know, tell them to make sure they sign in a different tab just so that it's easier to access the Flipgrid, but it does give them instructions on how to get into our Flipgrid. So I don't know why this isn't working at the moment, but it should. It's just apparently not. All right, well.
But in theory, it
in
should
theory.
work. You can embed a Flipgrid
Yeah.
and it should work just like it does anywhere else because it's an external tool.
Yeah, I promised to you that it was working perfectly last night, so we'll see why that's coming up an issue this morning, so.
But the main point is anywhere you have access to the editor, you have the option of inserting a video. And they have to be less than 30 minutes, but you wouldn't want to be creating very long videos for feedback. You know, in general, short videos are better, short focus videos are better. And if you are creating videos that you want to have used multiple semesters on things that commonly come up, save them in YouTube or Google Drive or somewhere, and so you can embed them each time. Or use embed code to put them in there rather than using the video editor, because then the link will be there as you move into future semesters. And if you're going to create a lot of videos, to make it simple and sustainable, you want to create as many of the videos to be evergreen so that they're not tied to the specific dates and so forth in your class. Because you say, as we approach Thanksgiving next week, that's not going to work in the spring or the summer or in other years when Thanksgiving happens to fall at a different place on the calendar. So, you know, try to keep the videos short and reusable just to make life easier.
Dennis?
Yeah, so am I getting this right? Is you make sure any kind of editing, so even if we're talking about work that we have pulled over from Blackboard, we want to work from the left side menu in terms of the extra features in terms of editing and adding something or changing something. Do you know what I'm talking about? You guys are fast
Sure.
sometimes. So remember they couldn't get the video, you couldn't add the video to a document until you started from the left side of the screen, the left side table.
Oh, it was fun. Oh, I see what it was. Yeah.
It's
Let's go back
kind of a
and we can
general
take a look
question.
at that. So what happens is you can create the document or you can
Yes.
create the item if it's brand new using Course Admin and that Course Builder. But once the item already exists, you would then go into here and we're not going to make any changes, but
Yeah,
you would just
gotta bring it up.
content, and then you'd use the edit HTML on, well, that's
On the
on the
webpage,
actual item. So
Just
edit
share
HTML.
screen.
Oh, it's,
did I share it? Not
oh,
share
I
the
thought,
screen?
Sorry.
sorry about that.
I thought I did. I did everything to select it, but didn't actually share. So what you would do, again, you would use the course tools and Course Builder to create new documents, but once the document exists, you would go to content, go to the place in the course where you want to make the edit. Let's say it's in module 2 and you want to do something on, you want to edit this, you'd click on that chevron, choose edit HTML, and that's where you'd actually get access to the editor. And you'd go to wherever you wanted to go and use a video feedback or whatever else you wanted to insert using this insert stuff, which is a pretty generic term. But,
Yeah.
but it gives you a wide range of options.
But how come that didn't work before when you created a sample document?
Oh, it did, but I was trying to get into it while we were in the course tools menu and that was just clunky.
Okay.
So build the structure of the course where you insert things in the path where you want them to be, but to actually edit them, you need to go to the individual items. If it's HTML documents you already have in your modules, in your folders, then you would go in the content to get to it. But if you want to edit an assignment, you'd stay in the course admin module. You'd click on assignments. If you want to edit a quiz, you'd go here. If you want to edit checklists or rubrics, you'd go to the appropriate tool, and then you'd see a whole list of them. You go to the right one. And again, you would then edit the item using the chevron to the right of the name.
Yeah, and so, yeah, that course builder is really nice for, you know, kind of seeing the full outline of your class and like kind of creating the structure and moving around modules to fit the structure that you want. But yeah, when you do want to edit a document or file directly, you want to go into that content tab. And you can add content through there too. You don't have to go to Course Builder, but when you're trying to make a course outline, it's easiest to see the full view of the class there.
And you can drag and drop things over
Right.
and move it around and
Yeah.
restructure it.
It makes it, it saves you lots of clicks to do it that way.
Okay, and we should probably stop this because it's just about time for the next, it is time for the next session. So if you have any questions, let us know and we'll try to figure it out. We're learning as we go. We should have qualified each of these sessions with that. So we'll stop the recording.